And now it is time for our Bay Area baseball bit. Of course, as usual, we are joined by Alan Stiles, our baseball insider. Alan, the Giants just wrapped up a very impressive series against the Milwaukee Brewers. High-level baseball from Game 1 to Game 3. They ended up taking 2 of 3. They've won their last couple of series against the Dodgers. How confident are you in this Giants team that they can compete with the best teams in the NL?
I'm extremely confident because there's no reason not to be. You know, when you go on social media nowadays, especially the fans of other NL West teams, whether it's Padres fans or Dodgers fans, oh, they're lucky. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're that. The bottom line is the Giants have a winning record against teams over 500. They just did damage against the Brewers, the Dodgers, and the Astros. They're in a whole different division. You know, they're the American League. So they have been able to show up whenever it has been necessary. I have no reason to think that this can't continue. And at the end of the day, this is exactly what they're going to have to do if they want to make those waves during the playoffs. You have to perform against those top competitors, and that's what they've been doing. So I'm confident that they'll be okay. We have no reason to feel like they won't be. The bottom line is they have a low ERA, but they have high home runs. Last time I checked, that's a winning recipe.
Good combo. Big blow for the A's this week, though, with the suspension of Ramon Laureano. How much is losing Laureano going to hurt this club?
It's going to hurt a lot. It's going to hurt a lot. You know, you can't sugarcoat it because at the end of the day, the defense is what we always know him as, right? He's got the laser, but the offense has also been coming around. And dare I say, you know, we know Jason is a big basketball guy. I would never say anyone is Draymond Green. But when you think of the Draymond Green for the Oakland Athletics, that is Laureano. If something goes down, something is happening in that locker room, he's in the middle of it. He is the pulse of that team. So to not have him in, you can maybe replace the defense. It would be tough. You can maybe replace the offense. That would also be tough. But you can't replace what he does to that team as far as beyond the X's and O's and what's in between the lines. And not having them is going to be tough, especially as we get down to the nitty-gritty in this wild card race.
Yeah, many have described him as the leader of the clubhouse, so it's going to be interesting. Now, back to the Giants. It seems like, you mentioned Padre fans earlier, it seems like that team is fading a bit. They're dealing with some injuries. The Dodgers have been up and down. They're only 5-5 in their last 10 games. So the Giants have created some separation, but if there's one team in that National League who you think could knock them off the top spot in the standings, who would it be?
It's going to make everybody upset. You would love to have a new team just to switch it up. But at the end of the day, it's the Dodgers, defending world champs. They've been there. They've done that. They're perennial playoff winners. Okay, it doesn't matter if it was a shortened season or not. That's just what they do. And as good as the Giants can feel about all these wins, you look up at the stands and they're only 4 games up. That's one bad series. And after one bad series, people are going to freak out. They were freaking out when they lost to the Pirates. They lost that series against the Pirates. So I would love to say a different team, and I would love to say that there is no team, but the Dodgers have never gone anywhere, and they're not going to. So I think it's the Dodgers. We thought it was going to be the Padres, like you said, Jason. They're cooling off a bit. You got the issues with Tatis and things like that. I looked through the different National League teams, and there's a couple that can make some splashes, and you really never know. But the Dodgers, they're here, and unfortunately, they're not going anywhere.
It's always the Dodgers. All right, the A's have won 8 of their last 10. Starling Marte has been playing incredibly for this team, so that looks like it was a good move for this season. If the season ended today, they've got one of the wild card spots, but can they hold off teams like the Yankees or other ones who are right there with them?
Yeah, so the A's, they can try to hold off whoever they want to, but the other issue is the Yankees cannot hold off COVID. Now, Rizzo goes on the list. COVID might be the best opponent against the Yankees right now, and maybe the A's can go ahead and, do well because of that, but there's other teams that are out there, as we talked about before, not super high on what I think the A's can then do if they get to the playoffs. And I think the bigger question here is this. you can look at it a couple ways. The first way I look at it as it's been a tough year for the A's. They've had issues with, some of it is self-inflicted when you talk about the ownership and things like that. But when you talk about A's versus the city and all these different things, if we break it down and boil it down to the actual players, they're the ones that have to deal with the stuff. They're the ones that have to deal with questions that are, again, outside the lines. Then they have to produce inside the lines. So they've still weathered that storm. They're still in the mix. And again, maybe this is a year where they surprise some people, but are A's fans really happy when you probably got to go on the road against a tough team? They've been there, they've done that, and unfortunately they haven't done it. That's the issue. So hopefully they can figure it out, but I just feel like it's been a tough year for the A's, and just making the playoffs in general would be a win and should be a win when it's tough, because they had really high expectations, and then across the Bay Bridge, you got the Giants, who nobody really knew what would happen to them, and they're setting the pace in Major League Baseball.
Well, one thing we all do know is going to be a great August and September in baseball, and we're lucky to have Alan Stiles with us every step of the way. That was your Bay Area baseball bit. We'll be right back after a quick break.